Today we're in Clifton, Virginia, where we're going to take a look at a property where we recently renovated several projects, including a kitchen, a butler's pantry, a laundry room, a two-story addition that includes a sunroom and a workshop, and also a new front porch. In the original existing space of this kitchen, there were soffits that went across the ceiling at this location, and there were columns in the corners of each side that really had no particular purpose. And we wanted to create a very seamless ceiling across from the family room to the kitchen. We removed these soffits and the columns, and we were able to flush out the ceiling and update all the lighting as well. In addition, we had to fill in some spaces on the original wood flooring for some of the adjustments to the walls that we did, and we sanded and restained it to match original. As well as there was originally a part of a wall right here, and we wanted to remove that and adjust this wall so that we could complete a larger wall with a built-in refrigerator. When meeting with the client on this particular project, there were certain elements that they were really interested in. They wanted to relocate the sink so that they would have a better view of the rear of the property where there's a gorgeous pond. In addition to that, the client was very interested in the design style of an inset cabinet door. So those were features that we were looking for. And we reorganized the placement of all the appliances so they'd be in better functional locations. And we brought all the cabinets to the ceiling, and we put in some additional glass with lighting at the top to illuminate the space, since this kitchen is an interior space. Let's take a look at some of the details. This is a custom corner cabinet right here that was specially designed for this location. And you can see these particular cabinets have an inset drawer with a beaded edge to it right here. This kitchen is fully loaded with lots of accessories. It has a trash can here, and then all these cabinets over here are combined together so that there will be less seams between the cabinetry. I'm going to pull this drawer out, and we do have some built-in electricity for charging at this particular drawer location. So we have some indoor charging. All these drawers are soft close. Lots of organization inside. Another special detail that we did was, since all these cabinets were combined, and this is quite a large island, we were required to incorporate outlets, and we didn't want to cut any holes in this beautiful mahogany custom countertop that was made right here in Virginia. We designed these cabinets with particular spacers so that we could get the outlets that were required built into the design of the cabinetry. On this side, we incorporated a microwave drawer. The original design included two different refrigerators underneath this cabinet. There was a lot of wasted space, so we really wanted to make this space much more functional. And then over here I want to show you, these are actually applied doors on this refrigerator. So hope the client doesn't mind. We're going to open the refrigerator and take a quick peek, just so you can see what's behind it. And then down below is the door that applies to the freezer section. And then we included a lot of open cabinets with glass design at the top so that the client could display their collection of pottery. They've traveled all over the world with the military, and they have beautiful collections of pottery that they really wanted to highlight and display, so they could show those off a little bit. And then over here, we designed this range to be more of a focal point of the kitchen. Since we have these corner windows, we really wanted to create a focal point in the space. We designed this beautiful hood with cabinets on each side with this beautiful wolf range that is 36 inches wide. In the original design, as I was mentioning, the sink was located in this corner. While this is a very nice view, a view of the pond is much better. And so while it was in the corner, the dishwasher was here. That made it very difficult for the client to access their dishwasher while they were located at the corner sink. Some of the other details in this kitchen that we included were the use of valances at the base of the cabinets to enhance the style and detail of this kitchen. So we did that in certain locations, and we also included this really nice wood bump out that is underneath of the sink that is made of the same wood as the countertop, the mahogany countertop. There's a detail that's very personal in this kitchen to the homeowner that we wanted to make sure that it stayed here in the kitchen because it was built by the homeowner. So let's take a look at that. This is a custom-made shelf rack that was made by the client so that they could display some of the plates that they've collected throughout their travels that were very important and sentimental to them. So we made sure that when we did this new design that we left this wall in place so that we could keep this plate rack. And next I want to talk about the butler pantry. In this space, there was some cabinetry previously, but it was really not functional. There was no storage on this side, and the cabinet that was here was so deep that it cut into the original molding. We redesigned the cabinetry here for a brighter, more functional use so that it would be in the proper position, and we replaced the molding that was around these arch doors. We provided lots of pantry space for the client to store large appliances and big platters and other things like that. And some of the finishing touches in this space include the quartz countertop. And also we did a beautiful backsplash and a herringbone design with an inset panel in the center just to continue the highlight of the hood. One of the challenges that occurred during installation, of course this is construction, so even though we do the best planning possible, sometimes we discover things during installation. One of the things that we discovered in this project was that in a very short distance, approximately 12 feet, from one side of the kitchen to the other, the floors were very uneven and out of level in a fairly significant way, something that wasn't normal standard. So because these cabinets were already designed with a valance at the base of them, what we did to compensate for the unlevel floor was we added a detail of a shoe mold at the base of all the cabinets, and it created a new detailed design and resolved the issue of the uneven floors. In the original design of the kitchen, there were peninsula cabinets that went all across the top here. When we relocated the sink to this location, we made sure to eliminate those cabinets so the client would have an unobstructed view of the beautiful pond in their backyard. And in addition to that, I want to mention and point out to you that all of the cabinets in this design are custom sized to fit the exact proportions between the walls. The base cabinetry as well, when you have a wall-to-wall installation, you're working within a very defined space. We basically custom sized all of the cabinets in between so that they would fit perfectly and very symmetrical. Let's talk about the island. This is close to the original shape of the island, which is a very unusual shape. So what we wanted to do was incorporate it in a way that it made more sense inside this space. And on the back side, we built in an open bookshelf so that the client could use that for additional book storage and display. Next, let's go take a look at the laundry room that we remodeled. So we're in the laundry room. While this is a very small, confined space, originally in this laundry area, there was a side-by-side washer and dryer, which took up the entire space, so it was rather non-functional for the client. In designing this new laundry room with an LG wash tower, we were able to incorporate more space for some additional cabinetry above the washer and on the right side with a base cabinet for folding, an upper cabinet for storage, also a hanging pole for laundry when it comes out of the wash. Okay, so now let's take a look at this beautiful sunroom two-story addition. So this was designed in place of what was originally here, which was just a simple pressure-treated deck. And what the client was interested in doing was creating a two-story addition that would have a room for workspace, shop down below, and then in this upper section, a sunroom that had lots of windows, tall ceilings. They really wanted to have a sunroom that they could use all year round, so they could be comfortable in the space, so they can enjoy it in the mornings for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea with all of the beautiful trees behind them. Since this is a sunroom with lots of windows kind of butt up to each other, in this type of construction, you would be required to put steel beam that was installed across the top with some steel posts on the 3 sides of this building to keep it very stable and resistant to wind shear. These windows in this home were designed to match the existing windows that are already in this home from Pella, and they were designed with transoms above. And in this room we incorporated a tray ceiling, which required us to do foam insulation in the top to meet the requirement code for insulation. The flooring in this space is an imported Italian tile. So since this was originally an exterior space, we kept the doors that were already here, and we built a step to step over the threshold that was existing there. And we also kept as much of the exterior brick as possible. So when you step into this room, you will see this beautiful brick wall with a keystone detail over the original door. So in this project, we needed to install a new heating and cooling system for this 2-story addition. So the unit itself is stored down in the workroom below. We built out this wall to create a shaft to put the ductwork in for the return air, and the air supply for the heating and cooling is located in the floor, which comes out of the floor registers. And in addition to that, the client opted for heated floors. So beneath this beautiful Italian tile floor, we have a floor heated system so that in the morning the client can turn on their heated floor, come out, especially in the cold months, and enjoy a nice toasty room with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. In the challenges of building this addition, this property is on a very steep slope that slopes down where there is a ravine area for the storm water to be captured among all the trees. And we had to do calculations and have soil tests done to determine the depth required for the footings on this house, and also to include a retaining wall on the front side of the house. When we were in the design process with the client wanted to make this sunroom as wide and as deep as possible. We had some restrictions with the property and the slope. So what we did in this particular case to enlarge the room is we designed a cantilever on the right side, which extends out below the wall downstairs in the workshop area. That cantilever also creates a protected area for the client to enter into his workshop from the outside. On the back of the house, because the slope of the property was so steep, it was very challenging to get all the footings and the concrete in place, as well as the retaining wall on the front. And because of that, we made sort of a level area up close to the back of the addition so the client could later install a stone pathway. So the elements of this design that were really important for the client were these very tall windows with the transoms, a tray ceiling, and then on the outside, the details to complete the finishing look of this sunroom were custom-made pilasters and window panels below the windows, and then to top it off on the roof, we use a metal roof system that we also used on the front porch. So in this colonial style home, there's a very distinctive exterior brick pattern that we wanted to be able to match for this addition. So we were fortunate enough to find a very, very close match to the existing brick pattern and use that for the addition and the retaining wall, and also to patch the small hole in the wall that we needed to patch from the light fixture that we removed here. So I want to talk about how we incorporated the entry of this workshop into the existing home. So this being the basement space, this is the client's workroom area. And there was a typical basement window here in place. We used that location to create a new door opening so that the client could enter into the workshop from inside and outside of the house. This is a very deep opening because of the exterior wall right here. So now we're in the workshop area, and we did completely finish this space. We did keep the concrete floor, so it was easy for the client to clean. And we did fur out the walls. We installed insulation in the walls to keep it warm in the winter and cool in the summer. We also finished the ceiling off and put lighting in here. And here you can see the new HVAC system that we installed to support both levels of this addition. And here is the exterior exit to the workshop. And as you step out, there is a cantilever from the sunroom that gives you some protection while exiting and entering the workshop. So on the outside, we installed a concrete stoop right here at the exterior door, and we leveled out a portion of the side hill. We used some of the dirt from the footings, filled in the area, and created a more level area to install a walking path. One of the other projects we did at this property was we rebuilt and redesigned the front porch along with the sunroom. One of the main goals in the redesign was to create a new roof style for the roof. Originally there was a flat roof with a balustrade, and the client really wanted a sloped roof for easier maintenance. There were just some really nice tweaks that we made on this front porch. We did a new sloped metal roof to match the roof of the sunroom. We redesigned all the trim around the entry to make it cleaner and fill some of the voids where the other trim was before. In the original design, there was a space in the trim above the doorway which allowed birds to nest, which is very lovely, but there's so many trees here, they can nest right in the trees. So they wouldn't have the issue of constantly having to clean up where the birds were building their nests inside under the porch. The columns that are on the front porch, they're designed to be structural, so they hold up the roof. One of the other issues in the design we had to pay close attention to was because the window was recently replaced, we needed to design the slope, make sure that the roof had enough slope, but design it so that it would fit below the existing windows. When resourcing composite materials, they don't always come from the same location. For example, these structural columns come from one manufacturer, and the trim detail that is on the outside of the doors that matches the trim around the sunroom comes from another resource. And because of that, even though these come in as a white finish trim, they don't always match. Typically, you will need to paint all of the trims so that they all match, have the same finish on them, and there is specific paints available out there for PVC that will last for decades.